We're going to do a little bit of a practice today on around the legs and the feet and the hips. So all again to do with earthing and grounding. So following on from last week when we worked stomach and spleen, which is the earth element, we're now moving into the physical. So physical legs, feet, where we ground, how we move forward in life, and how are we finding a grounded space when we move forward. And just allowing us as well to move with the situation that we're currently going through. We're now allowed to make a bit more movement. We're allowed to go to different places that we haven't been to, and just coming back into that center of groundedness, or feeling clarity, feeling sure in our decisions, and kind of pulling back from any indecision, pulling back from anything that's making us feel that anxiety, and really moving forward with that sensation of being centered and feeling like we have that power to move forward and make decisions that feel right for us. So that's the theme for today, and then working around the legs. So if you've got any music that you want to put on, feel free to put it on now, and I'll just make sure perfect, all muted. Lovely. Just pin me. Cool. So we're going to actually start with a wide knees child pose. So if you've got any props that you might want to use, it might be nice to put something padded underneath the knees, or you might want to use some blankets under the knees. If you just take the toes together, knees apart, you can either work with a bolster, without a bolster, any cushions, anything that you might like to just give you a little bit of a support and a rest. And we're going to be here for about 5 minutes. So just making sure that you're comfortable as you are, and the spine is nice and long. You can turn the head to one side, and then I'll let you know when we're halfway, and you can turn the head to the opposite side, so we get a nice stretch up the neck as well. So if you're holding on to any pillows, it might feel nice to tuck your hands or arms underneath to just give it a little bit of a lift. Or it might feel good to stretch the arms, open into the underarm. Or if you've got anything going on in the shoulders, you can also rest your hands onto your lower back, or hold onto the feet, or just rest your arms beside your hips. So just find whichever position feels good for you and let yourself settle into the space. Just finding a nice, comfortable spine. And working to breathe into the belly. So although we're compressing the belly here, we're just finding a little bit of a massage through the abdominal organs as we breathe deeply into the abdominals. So once you've found that space that you can really let yourself rest into, we want to find as much stillness and steadiness as we can. So you're going to be feeling a nice compression through the calves, through the hamstrings, a stretch through the tops of the feet, the knees, and also a compression in the hips, but an opening through the groin. And again, working to stretch the spine. So try to draw your awareness as much down into the legs, the feet as you can, and find that spaciousness in each shape. Find a sensation of really letting go and allowing gravity to pull and stretch and bring some weight into the body. And if the eyes aren't already, you can close down through the eyes and start to draw your attention and awareness into the body. Noticing any sensations that are arising, and allow yourself to just become the observer. So witnessing, and again trying to hold that steadiness, that sensation of calm, awareness, without any judgment. If you do ever feel that you need to move, or if you need to change position, always listen to your body, but try to get to the edge. So when we find that, that's a peacock. Whenever we find that space of challenge or tapas, it's called, we find that tapas, that heat, that challenge, we face it and we start to burn through those tapas, through that challenge, and we come through a more liberated space. You can gently look to the other side, stretching out the opposite side of the neck. We're halfway through, just 2.5 minutes left. We're just taking one more round of breath here before we come out of the shape. And on your next inhale, you can gently bring your hands down to gently push into, turning their gaze back to center. Allow yourself to come up to a lifted position. Just pause, sitting back onto the heels if that's comfortable, or come to straight into all fours. Moving any props out to the side, and we can make our way slowly into all fours, gently bring the knees 1 to 1 back to center. Find any movement that might feel nice, either pausing in your all fours or maybe stretching out the legs, tucking the toes under, lifting up and pushing back through the heel. Or if it feels good to come into a down dog, you can come to lift the hips up and stretch back. Just for a moment, coming through your rebound. Let's just take one more breath here. And then we're sitting back onto the heels again, but this time we want to have the toes tucked under. So the toes are gently tucked and we've got a nice space in the back of the toe joints. Also getting a stretch through the arches of the feet. We're not going to stay here for too long, but if it's a little bit too intense, then just take the knees apart a little bit and you can grab a bolster or some cushions and sit onto that. Or if you've got blocks, you can also use that. So come back to sit onto the heels or your brick or your cushions. Just resting the hands onto the thighs. Chin gently tucks the chest and find a gentle tuck of the tailbone under. Feel that the core is engaged, the pelvic floor is slightly lifting. Mula Bandha lifts gently to energize up through the spine into the crown of the head. So feel the energy is lifting you up. Not all of the weight is dumping into the feet. And we get a nice stretch here. Relaxing the eyebrows, in between the eyebrows. Relax the jaw, the tongue, shoulders. And allow the mind to come into more relaxed space. Just taking 4 more breaths. Steady, smooth, silent breath. Down into the belly, allowing the belly to expand. On your inhale, navel pulls back to the spine as you exhale. Last 2 rounds of breath. Hold a lot of tension in the toes. This also relates to tension through the neck and shoulders. Well done. On your next inhale, release. You can just bring your hands down, relax the toes. You can either give the toes a wiggle or you can give them a little bash onto the floor. Maybe some circles through the ankles if that feels nice. Nice. And then if you didn't hate me enough already, we're going to do a little bit more to the ankles. So just come back to rest the feet back and then bring the hands just beside the knees. We can start to then walk the hands back and we're leaning back, so we're stretching the tops of the ankles. If that's too much, then just work to bring your hands beside the knees and lift up through the knees here. If you can lean back, we can start to lean here. Or if you want a more intense stretch, you can hold on to the knees and lean back. Try to send your attention into the breath, expand into the belly again as you inhale. As you exhale, navel pulls back to the spine. We're only taking 4 breaths here, just a minute here. And I know we just said that if you don't want to be doing a stretch or an exercise, that you're not going to do it. So I hope that you are. Because some of you I can't see. Just take one more round of breath here. I promise it's good for you. And as you exhale, you can slowly relax and release. We don't often stretch those parts of the body, so it's really good to keep the joints mobile and to just every now and then stretch some parts that don't get a look in. Nice. So we're going to come into a squat from here. So you can either stay lengthways on your mat or you can come to widthways. If you've got some cushions or a brick or a bolster, you might want to sit onto that. And I would recommend taking the feet a little bit wider. So if you are sitting down, take a nice big wide stance and then you can just bring your elbows on the inside of the knees and lift up the spine from there. Or if you feel quite comfortable to use no prop, you can just take yourself into a squat here. Wherever you are, find a nice position. We're going to be here for 4 minutes. So make sure that you do feel that you can stay. It doesn't matter if you've got a prop or not. You can also come up to a wall space and just lean your sit bones and the lower back towards the wall. And then that gives you a nice support and prop to gently lean back onto. And then that will help to release any gripping and holding in the groin, which is where we're ideally working to open and expand into. Also going to get a nice lengthening through the spine, helping our spinal muscles. And if you gently push the knees in towards the elbows and push the hands towards each other, we're also getting a nice bit of work going in the outer glutes. So this is just helping to stabilize again the pelvis. So bringing that sensation and that feeling of stability into the physical body so we feel that. And then this will start to translate into the mind. Finding sensation of strength, of power, of stability and steadiness. So whatever we do to the physical body, as you know, we do to the mind, the emotions. So sometimes when we want to move through something, if we just move the energy in our body, this will then start to turn in the mind. Sometimes it's really hard to work to change our habits, work to change our patterns in the mind. It's hard to feel different in the mind because it's so hard to grasp. It's so subtle. But our breath, our body is much more dense, much more easy to move and to shape. So when we start to work into these parts of the body, so maybe if you're working to bring more strength into the body, we work into the navel center, bringing all the energy, the awareness into this point. Or maybe it's working on grounding as we are today. So finding that strength in the legs, in the feet, our connection to the earth. How are my toes planting? How are my feet spreading into the earth? How do I draw energy up the legs from earth into my body? And when we can really start to connect our body, our breath, and shape and move this energy, then we start to see transformations in the mind. So almost there. We've just got 1 more minute to go. Try to find that steadiness to your breath again. Nice, slow, deep belly breaths. And the deeper we breathe into the belly, the more movement we'll get around the tissue in the pelvis, the lower belly, just helping us to expand a little bit more through the fascial network. So fascia is the sinewy tissue in the body that connects, that wraps the muscles, that provides lubrication. And sometimes when we're practicing or moving or habitually holding posture, shape, if we've had any injuries or if any emotional trauma, this fascial network gets really sticky and stuck and tight. And we want to really work to use the breath to help move and lubricate this area again. That's just last round of breath. Well done. We've got a nice one after this. And then on your next inhale, you can release the hands down. You can take your hands slightly further forward. We can start to drop the head down and lift the sit bones up. If that's a little bit too strong for you, then just let yourself come forward onto your hands, let your knees drop forward and come to all fours and 3 down dog. Or if you're not staying in a forward fold, you can take the feet as wide or as narrow as feels good. Have a little bend into the knees. Just let the head drop, chin tucks the chest, lengthen out the back of the neck. Again, breathe into the belly. And then when you're ready, you can either come through a halfway lift and stretch the spine here, or come all the way up to standing. Just taking 2 more breaths. If you're in your all fours, maybe taking a little pedal through the legs or come to a down dog. Last breath. Nice. And then from here, we're going to make our way back down to the floor. If you've got a wall space near you, perfect. If you haven't, you don't need one, but we can use the wall just to bring a little bit more support into the body. So if you have some cushions or a couple blankets, we can use that, or a brick. So if you've got a couple of blankets, try to get it so it's nice and thick, so you've got a good thick ledge to rest the sacrum onto. We're going to take legs up, so either legs up the wall, or you can just take legs up in the air. So if we first of all bring ourselves down to the floor, just coming into semi-supine, you might want a blanket underneath the head just to support the neck. And then if we bring hands beside the hips, lift up through bridge, slide underneath your sacrum, your lower back, either some cushions or the blankets, brick or bolster, anything that feels nice, to just lift the hips a little bit higher. And then we can take the legs straight up. So have a little rock around, maybe with knees into chest, so you feel that widening through the sacrum, the lower back. And then wherever you're ready, take the legs straight up. If you've got a wall space, this is also nice to rest your legs up the wall. Try to get your hips as close to the wall as you can if you're taking the wall space. And the further away, the less of an intense stretch it is in the hamstrings. If you have a strap, or if you're finding it a little bit intense for the legs, you can also wrap a strap around your feet, hold the very ends and let your elbows rest to the floor. So you can do that option as well. We're going to be here for about 5 minutes, so just let yourself come into a comfortable position. Make any final adjustments here. Arms can rest whatever feels comfortable, either next to the hips, out to the side, overhead. Just let yourself take up as much space as you can. So when we're constantly standing or seated, all the blood is pooling in the legs. The chi is pooling in the legs. So to find a lightness in our step, to find a downward or a reverse movement of chi, of blood flow, it's a really nice way to take your legs up the wall, or legs up. It really helps to support the heartbeat, the circulatory system. It gives the kidneys a really good flush with energy and jing. Our vital energy force is our jing essence. And it helps just to relieve any tension, heaviness from the legs, especially if we're standing up a lot or if we're seated down a lot throughout our day. The Western body has kind of taken on some bad habits just through our work and the way that we live. Most of the time we'll be squatting or moving around, working on farmland or moving around with the earth, climbing, using our bodies in a much more dynamic and almost animalistic way. And we've started to use it in a much more square and narrow way. So it's really nice to let the body move into some different shapes and positions, especially through the legs. So just taking 2 more minutes here. Allow your breath again to be very steady, calm, smooth and silent. And if possible, bring in a sensation of seamlessness. So one breath, inhale flows into the exhale, and the exhale into the inhale. No pause, no gap. Smooth and seamless. It's coming for our last 45 seconds. Taking a final round of breath here. And slowly releasing the legs down, bringing the knees into the chest. Just take a moment to pause here. Maybe hug the knees in, compress the spine. If you're next to the wall, you can let yourself roll to the side and then come up over onto all fours. If you're on the cushions, you can stay as you are. We're allowing the legs to come feet flat to the mat, and then keeping the prop where it is, we're taking the legs out long. So if you're by the wall space, just set yourself up with something underneath the pelvis to give a little bit of a height and weight, opening up into the hip flexor, into the front of the pelvis. So with that, we can also take the arms up over the head, either holding on to the elbows or stretch the arms if you've got the space. And feel a nice length coming into the whole front line of the body now. You can relax the feet or point the toes away if that feels nice, to really stretch the whole front line. And send the breath again now into the belly. Navel rises as you inhale, and navel falls to the spine as you exhale. It's coming for a gentle rebound. Taking 3 more rounds of breath. From here, slowly start to walk your feet back in. Just moving any props out to the side, you can push them down, slide them away. And pause in semi-supine, so feet on the floor, knees bent. Nice. From here, bring the knees into the chest. Give yourself a nice big squeeze. Take in twisted roots. So you can either take a double wrap of the legs round. We're going to take the right leg over the left and then turn to the left to begin. So you might want to shift your hips slightly over to the right, and then you can double wrap the legs and take the twist over. We want to make sure the right shoulder is plugging down and we can look over the right shoulder. If that's a little bit too intense, you can always just stretch your underneath leg out long. And then bring your right knee into the chest and turn here. Use your left hand just as a bit of weight. So finding whichever position feels good and pausing here. I'm going to be here for 3 minutes each side. So if you've taken twisted roots, we're working to compress into the calf muscle and compress the thighs a little bit more. So just wringing out through the meridian lines, running through the legs. If you need any propping or support, always add anything that will help you relax more, to feel more supported and held. And again, bring your attention into the breath. And you want the breath into the navel. Nice deep abdominal breathing. So when we're always coming back to this central point, we're coming back to the center of our being. We're coming back into our power point. Finding that stability in our center. Recharging through our solar plexus, our Manipura chakra. And we're gathering and bringing all of our energy back into our center. So pulling it from the extremities back in, finding balance, finding more power, finding more energy. And feeling that sensation of stability when we come back into our center. Anytime we're off center, it's normally because we've gone way too far into the head, we've gone way too far into the future, the past. And when we bring it back into the center, back into the present, back into this now moment through the breath, back into the center of our being, we really harness this sensation of being clear, of being decisive, of being confident and trusting our ability to know, trusting our ability to make sense of the world, to take the right steps forward. It's all within our center. We always have the answers that's best for us. Nice, we're just here for 3 more breaths on this side. Finish the round of breath that you're on, and on your next inhale, you can turn the head back to center. As we exhale, draw the knees back into center, use the core strength. Just come into a central point again, feet to the floor, knees bent. And then we can go to the other side. So just shifting your hips a little to the left if that helps. Crossing the legs if you're taking twisted roots. Left leg over the top of the right. Plug down through the left shoulder, left arm, and then turn the head to look to the left. 3 minutes on this side. Allow yourself to really ground. Take any props that you might need and modify the pose as much as feels comfortable for your body. So always working within a range that feels right for you. Come back to the breath in the navel. Find a releasing and a letting go. Feel secure and stable in the shape. Coming for your last 30 seconds, just take in another 3 rounds of breath. Finish on the round of breath that you're on. And on your next inhale, turn the head back to center, brace the core. And as you exhale, gently bring your knees back up to center, feet flat to the mat. Square the hips again, find semi-supine. Just pause here, feet on the floor, knees bent. Come into a stable shape. So twisting really helps us to find a sattva, which is a sensation of clarity, of equanimity, of purity, where we've balanced both sides and energies of the body. We feel that deep sensation of balance, of centeredness. You can extend the legs out long, coming into a mini shavasana. Just taking another couple of rounds of breath here. Finishing the round of breath that you're on. And with your next inhale, we're moving into happy baby. So you can draw the knees into the chest. Give them a nice big squeeze and a hug so that you feel the tailbone lift. And then you can relax them away from you a little bit. We want the knees to be more out towards the edges of the rib cage and edging up towards the armpit. So if that feels good for you to just pause here, you can work to hold onto the ankles or the toes and come into Tadasana, star, if that's more comfortable for you. If not, hold around the outside edges of the feet or peace fingers and thumb around the big toe. And we want to shine the soles of the feet towards the ceiling. So the head is grounded, the tailbone is down on the mat. The spine is long. We want a very gentle tuck of the chin to the chest to lengthen out the back of the neck. The shoulders are relaxed and we're breathing into the belly. So this is again moving into the pelvis, the groin, but also working into compression of the hip flexor. So we get a nice release when we come out. So find whichever shape feels good, either happy baby or Tadasana. And we're only here for just 2 more minutes. About a minute and a half done already. Half a minute done already. So we're charging up the energy into the legs. We're really finding this sensation of grounding energy. We're feeling more connected to the earth and more connected into our physical body. When we really work to draw attention and awareness down into the body, a lot of our energy is more around the head. Especially where we live, it's very fast paced. We constantly have something to do. living in a modern society is very much about having an endless to-do list of things to do. So when we drop the energy down into the lower parts of the body, this helps to come out of the mind as well. Anytime that you're feeling really overwhelmed, anything's spinning out in the mind, or you're overthinking quite a lot, a good way to ground yourself is just bringing your awareness down into the feet, into the legs, into the hips, getting onto the ground, feeling your connection with the earth. Last 30 seconds here. Taking last round of breath. And gently releasing, bringing the feet down to the floor. So take a moment just to pause. Maybe some knee sways might feel nice here, just side to side. Windshield wiper the legs. Or it might feel nice to take the legs out long, just pausing in Shavasana. Let the body rebound. From here, we're going to move into butterfly, reclined. So you can either work just bringing the soles of the feet together, so bring the feet back to the floor, knees bent. Soles of the feet come together as the knees drop apart. If, like me, your knees don't come to the floor and you've got a gap, it's really beneficial to have some support underneath the knees or the legs, underneath the hips. So maybe you might want to bring a bolster, some cushions, some bricks, anything that helps to support the side of your leg. So finding whichever position feels good for you. You can also come up into a seated butterfly. So you want to just lift up and fold forward over the legs. You can hold on to the feet or the shins. Taking whichever variation feels nice for you. And we're just here for about another minute and a half. Take one last breath cycle here. On your next inhale, slowly bring your knees back to center. If you folded forward, lifting your spine back up on an inhale. You can hug the knees into the chest. Take a moment before coming into Shavasana. It might feel nice to keep the support underneath the legs, underneath the knees in Shavasana. So just find yourself set up wherever feels good, wherever feels comfortable. Maybe raise the head, neck, shoulders off of the floor to lengthen the back of the neck. Maybe hug the knees, lift the tailbone, just to find that stretch in the end of the spine. And then we can take the legs out long, feet relax. Hands can either rest onto the body or palms shine towards the ceiling, arms out to the side. It feels nice to bring a blanket or a cover over the eyes. or blanket over the body. Just let yourself come into any position that finds rest. Take a nice deep breath into the belly and sigh the breath out. Take as many more of those breaths as feels good until you come into a space of rest, of stillness. Pause in here. Gradually bring in some awareness back into the body through the breath. Deepening your inhale and your exhale. Movement into the fingers and toes. Maybe turn the head side to side, lick the lips or swallow. Bring some energy back into the body. And then whenever you're ready, you can make your way onto your side. Bring the knees into the chest or plant the feet to the mat. And just take a moment, 2 or 3 breaths on your side. And then when you're ready, slowly press yourself up, coming into a seated position, finishing with some pranayama and meditation. So we're going to do a really lovely grounding and calming breath, which follows with an equal part breathing, so an equal ratio of 6 to 6. And then we repeat that 5 times. And then we're going to add in a breath retention. So we'll go for a 6 in, 6 out, and then hold for 4 breaths, 4 counts out. So the exhale, we hold for 4. And then we'll repeat that 5 times. And then we'll move into meditation from there. So if you feel uncomfortable with the breath retention out, just hold for as long as feels comfortable, even for 1 or 2. But we're just trying to stimulate that sensation of the exhalation coming down and out. So it's a really lovely calming and grounding sensation in the body. And it just moves us more into the parasympathetic nervous system, just holding that exhalation out. So find a comfortable seat, either come to a bolster, cushion, try to elevate your hips up a little bit higher than your knees. So we've got that nice space in the pelvis. We just get a bit more length in the spine that way as well. Find your 2 sit bones into the seat beneath. Little tuck of the tailbone under and lengthen up into the crown of the head. Gentle tuck of chin to chest. Bring the shoulders up, back down, open up through the heart space, and then you can rest the hands into the lap, onto the knees. Close down through the eyes. So we're breathing through belly, so the belly will expand, then through the rib cage will widen. The breath comes all the way up to the upper chest, so we'll feel a slight lift of the upper chest and the shoulders. And then as we exhale, we're drawing the navel back to the spine and really push the breath out. Keep it nice and smooth and gentle, no forcing, but this is the action of the breath. So just take a regular breath in and out, releasing. And breathing into belly, expand ribs, all the way to upper chest. And on your exhale, pull the navel back to the spine, all the breath out. Beginning with 6 count, in for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale 6 for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Third round in 6 for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale 6 for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, count your own breath for the last 2 rounds. Exhale for 6. Final round. So we're going to move forward with the breath retention. Inhale in for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale the breath for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold the breath out for 4, 2, 3, 4. Inhale 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale breath out for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold the breath out for 4, 2, 3, 4. Inhale for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold the breath out for 4, 2, 3, 4. Inhale in 6 again. Count yourself through the last 2 rounds. Inhale 6. Exhale 6. Hold the breath out for a count of 4. 2 more rounds. Completing your last round in your own time. In for 6, out for 6, hold for 4. Once you finish that round of breath, just coming back into the natural breath. Allow your body to rest in the clarity and stillness. Kaya Stira, perfect stillness. Allow your mind to be absorbed by this stillness, this clarity. Resting awareness just on the in and exhale, that flow of breath, body, mind still. Release all effort. Remain the observer. Keeping that sensation of stillness and clarity, deep connection to your center, your central point of stability, peace, harmony and balance. And allowing this to carry forward with you in all aspects of your life. I'm just going to leave you with a really nice line from Rupi Kaur. I will never have this version of me again. Let me slow down and be with her. Bring your hands into prayer, resting thumbs onto your heart space, lifting up into the heart, relaxing shoulders, lifting into crown. A nice deep inhale. Fill your heart with this sensation of peace, clarity, stillness, and exhale, release anything that is not. Take 2 more nice deep breaths into the heart space, fill up with your own energy. Exhale to release anything that is not in alignment with your highest truth. And the last round, into the heart space, deep breath in. Exhale to release. Bow your head down, offering gratitude to your body for all that it is and all that it does for you. Offering gratitude to our practice for all that it allows us to see and develop within our worlds. Offering gratitude to the teachers before us and the teachers to come. Thank you so much everyone for practicing with me. Bring your hands into third eye, bow down into clarity. Namaste.